Welcome, everyone. This is Palace Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister,
Hello.
Cinders,
Hello.
and Senswinda.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Is everybody all nice and ready for some juicy release notes?
Yay.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a delicious dessert.
Like a delicious dessert. It was supposed to be an appetizer, I think.
Oh, oops.
Oh, well, I suppose we'll just have to have the biscuits for our appetizer then. Let's now have a look at our release notes for update 45.6, which was released on Thursday, October the 9th. And in this, we had the Harvest Mats Festival beginning. The Harvest Mats Festival started on 10 a.m. on Thursday, October 9th. Well, actually, it started when the servers came back up. And it will continue until 3 a.m. on November the 3rd. So that means through November 2nd, we'll have that. So you have until the end of this month and a couple of days afterwards. This year's festival features new rewards, including a cobweb cosmetic cloak, hat, robe, harvest math cauldron, fall hobby broom, decorative pumpkins, and webbed hedges. New pets, spooky housing musical themes, and more. See this year's full reward list in their guide to the Harvest Fest Festival on LOTRO.com.
I've already gotten some of those, and they're amazing. Sans will hate the outfit, but
What
they're
about the
delightful.
cloak?
I haven't seen the cloak yet, but I've seen the robe and the hat, and they are covered in cobwebs. It's glorious.
That doesn't exactly give Sans a nice fuzzy feeling in there.
No, not particularly.
Okay. Also, in the notes, NPCs will no longer fall through the floor in Tier 1 version of the raid Depths of Magda Corvo.
Ah, dang it.
The number of spawns from skills have been reduced in the garish fight in the raid, the Temple of Utumbur. We have reduced most summoning effects by half as well. And because of that fix, the raid is now once again open.
Wait,
A bug has been corrected.
Which wing is that? Is that the wing we haven't seen?
I think that's the wing we haven't seen because I believe that the one wing that was closed was the Inner Sanctum, which I believe is the third wing.
I was hoping it would make it nicer for the second one, but that's okay.
Unfortunately, I know we haven't had a chance to try it again since that last attempt.
I know. I'm sorry, my schedule's been wonky.
I get the impression that the schedule's been wonky for a lot of ploy because.
Oh yeah, like this Friday was there's not enough people for 6-man, basically. But we've had that happen before, where just the circumstances or whatnot, the attendance gets light, but it always comes back. So that's kind of what we're figuring is people will start showing up again.
Yep.
Trouble I have with that Friday group is that it looks like that when they have 6, their default thing is to run Thatter twice in order at levels at tier 7. At tier 7, whatever that.
Oh, at the delving.
There's the delvings. Yes, at tier 7 delving. I don't know. I just tired of running Thatter twice in a row.
Fair. I think Thatter is
because practice over and over and over.
And they like to find the optimal thing to run and then run it and run that, and I've never had that style of liking to run things and running things multiple times in the same session. All right, let's see. A bug has been corrected that prevented characters under level 50 from accessing titles in the third Monster Player reward track. Captain General and Tyrant quests in Tol Askarnan, Grimwood Lumber Camp, and Tirith Raw will now advance correctly. The reset at the Grimwood Lumber Camp will now invoke an hour-long cooldown on resetting the NPCs, and Legendary World's Nazgul logic has been adjusted to trigger victory at the start of its defeat sequence. Okay. I mean, you don't have to wait half an hour for it to do its full death sequence before you get your reward. And that's it for the updates for update 45.6. So it's a small update.
I don't know what to do with myself now.
What?
I was prepared for a much longer release notes. Now I have all this pent up energy.
All right. And we also have a link to the Harvest Math Festival guide, which we discussed during the release notes in there, where they talk about the various things that you have there at the party tree at Wistmead, and that you could talk to the various traders and all that. So it's usual guide with a couple of things added to it, because now they talk about the various things that are available for Fall Festival tokens in there, and they do, of course, talk about the new rewards in there. They do include a picture of someone wearing the spider web cloak and riding a hobby broom. It looks like also holding the cauldron. So to show off various items that are in there. Oh, that's a creepy pumpkin.
If only that hobby horse could trample.
I mean, it looks like a pumpkin horn. Yeah, tone of the pumpkin horn is what they call it. Okay, so it is a pumpkin horn. All right, so and someone wearing a dwarf wearing the various cosmetics that you get for front and back side on there. So if you like a spidery theme, this looks like a festival for you. And if you're Sans Winda, I am sure you're probably making other plans. Unless you want... I don't know if she'd be interested in a hobby broom.
Maybe that would be like, oh, I need a hobby broom. That sounds cool.
So do you remember...
This could be like my disguise, though. Nobody will ever believe it's me if I put this on, but then I won't be at my keyboard to, like, interact with anything. So, it might fail. But.
They still have all the previous year's rewards available, though. So it's not like you just have to get this one. But they have the really epic hat and shoulders set that come as like a one piece, which is hat and shoulders and the dress that goes with it. They still have all that stuff that you can get. So you can still have the spooky feel and have something fit for riding a hobby broom. But also not have spiders. I carefully investigated just for Sam.
Thank you for your careful investigation. It is appreciated.
Very well. And you can check out, as I said, we have a guide link to there. And that guide also gives a link to Fibro Jedi's one if you want to have a little deeper look into the matters in there. So that's what we have for the Harvest Mass Festival. In addition to the update 45.6, there was also a Bulwerer build. Now, this was the first Bulwerer build for the Kingdoms of Harad, but it didn't have any large-scale things ready for review or anything like this. Its main purpose was to allow for testing of performance. Some performance testing features that they're trying to put into there to see how well the system was handling raids. So they're asking people to form in raids and run raids, especially ones that have a heavy load on the system, and also they were encouraging PvP during the time, since in PvP you have large numbers of hopefully both sides that are out in the moors trying to go after each other. So they were trying to gauge how well the system was performing on that. And I hear that the orgs are really excited about that.
Incredibly.
Incredibly excited. All right, let's see. And I didn't see any major comments in there that relate to how well it went. So I presume that they were just gathering data in the background and maybe be making some tweaks to that as they go along and we come out. We're expecting to have our first real content Bulwer build next week. So stay tuned for that. And maybe we can have our first little look into the lands that are there. Actually, we did have a little bit of look because Scenario was doing another one of his casual strolls, and he went through the second of the 4 regions that are in there. So next Wednesday, we'll have the third. So he's continuing on that little series in there. So you could get a sneak peek at what's in there. But of course, if you really want to be in there yourself, next week's Bulwer is probably be our first opportunity to go and visit those lands and see what type of quests that they're going into the area. But as usual, the epic story will not be part of the Bulwer testing. They like to reserve that until release so as to avoid spoilers. Next, we have some transfers that have been opened up. We have, first off, there are some free transfers from select 64-bit worlds. And in other words, we can have free transfers available from Orcris or Meriadoc to Grand, and from Glamdring and Peregrine to Sting. In other words, this is an opening of a transfer opportunity and hoping to balance the populations of the world. So if you are someone who doesn't like being in a visitor, I know there are a lot of people who like to stay on the most populated server, and once there's the most populated server, it seems to become a magnet for people to go there because they want to be able to have, I guess, larger groups to fellow with or something like that into there. But if that's not what you're looking for, then you might consider transferring off those worlds in order to go to one that's less populated. Especially Orcris, which is notoriously for being highly populated. So if you don't like high population worlds, this is an opportunity to transfer over to one that's less populated. So that is the free transfers from those select 64-bit. But in addition to that, they have opened up transfers from the Dark Worlds. So free transfers from the former 32-bit game worlds to 64-bit game worlds are now available. This means that on the US side, transfers from Arkenstone, Brandywine, Crick Hollow, Gladden, and Landraville. And on the EU 32-bit worlds from Belanger, Evernight, Gwaihir, Laurelin, and Saranen. And if you're on Treebeard, then you could transfer to either a US world or to an EU world because Treebeard was made in a neutral way that it could go to either of those two. But once you transfer from Treebeard to one of those other worlds, it will lock into whichever environment you transfer it to. And in this, you could transfer to Sting, Glamdring, or Peregrine on the US and to Grand, Orcris, and Meriadoc. But as usual, only go to Orcris if you're a player that really likes high population settings. And just remember that Orcris currently has as many resources as they could possibly give to a world right now. So they think that adding any more resources to Orcris would have diminishing returns on it. So if you don't want to experience lag, you might want to avoid Orcris. Angmar and Mordor are fresh start worlds, and it is not possible to transfer characters to Angmar and Mordor. So even though they are 64-bit worlds, they of course will not be destinations for it. And our roleplay designated worlds are meant to guide guidance to fellow role players as they are considered as they consider these their destination worlds. So if you are a role player, then you probably want to go to Meriadoc or Peregrine, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on. Though there are no rules against non-role players being in there, because right now, if your choice is that you want a reasonably populated server, but in other words, you don't want to go into the small servers and you're trying to avoid Orcris because it's too busy, then you might consider the RP server because they might have a more balanced population in there. And there are no specific rules that are enforced relating to roleplay. They're more like RP encouraged worlds, similar to what Landrival was like before the closure of the 32-bit worlds. And then, of course, it tells about how do you transfer and what you need to know related to kinships and all of that stuff. And say, how long will these transfers be available? We intend to offer free transfers from these dark worlds through at least October 1st, 2027. We'll announce the formal closure timing around or after that date. So about 2 years then. All right, and that is it on the transfer side. So there was a little hiccup on some maintenance that they had to do with the transfer system, I think on Friday, but as far as I know, transfers are back up and running. And that's it for the news for this week. So let's head into our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
Conveniently, the wargs just quit barking. On sale this week, new to the LOTRO store is shared wardrobe space numbers 40 to 42. So you can store your superb silks and sashes with a newly extended cap to your shared wardrobe. Each pack grants plus 10 storage slots. Definitely need to invest. Right, Sans?
Right.
Kingdoms of Harad is now available to pre-purchase. You can learn more about that expansion by following the link in the show notes. You can also start a new journey and get 20% off of character slots, veteran status, stat packages, XP boosts, and more through October 16th. And the weekly coupon is for plus 20% mount speed for 6 hours with coupon code HOOF2GROUND now through October 16th.
All right, thank you, Cinders. And now let's head in and see what our week was like in gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
All kinds of shenanigans. Actually, it was a busy week, but didn't really get much done. So I appeared more like Obi-Wan as a Force Ghost to ploy on a couple occasions this week to harass them. Hung out with them on Friday night. Didn't have enough people to do a raid, but looking forward to actually seeing a big enough group to try the raid again because it was actually a lot of fun last time that we did it. And other than that, I've been playing Borderlands quite a bit, Age of Wonders 4, and a little bit of ESO. And then I've been working with Adobe's generative AI and doing a lot of art with it and having a lot of fun. And so pretty good week for me. Cinders, how about you?
So I tried a new game today because it was on sale and it was on my wish list. It's called One Lonely Outpost, and it is similar to Animal Crossing New Horizons in that you start out with a little companion, only in this case it's a robot instead of a person giving you directions. And then you follow the directions and play through the game and do the different steps. But the mechanics for moving through the world and crafting and things like that are more like Stardew Valley. But as far as I can tell, there is no combat, so it is definitely kind of a relaxing game to play in that kind of a genre. And then I also logged in today and did Harvest Math on Sting. So my Monday character has opened the Haunted Burrow and acquired and spent 48 festival tokens on the cobweb outfit and hat. So she just needs the broom and the cloak, and she will have the full set. And then that is really all that I got up to this week because I've fought a migraine. So, Sans, how was your week?
My week was pretty good, but I did not get a lot of gaming done. I did some more unbar cooking though, and I played a couple more days on my new Stardew Valley world, and that was pretty much my week in gaming. How was your week, my leaf?
All right, I'll begin on the Monday group where my Runekeeper reached level 20 as we were questing in Cardland. We did most of the stuff that was in Herna, and so I think we're getting ready to. Oh, that's right, because we finished book 2. That's right, we finished up book 2. So we're about to leave Herna and start book 3 is where we are on that particular item. So I reached level 20 and I unlocked skirmishes. And I also did some missions in Gundabad, mainly because one of my favorite mounts is that goat in there. So I'm working my way towards there. So doing a lot of missions with my XP disabler on because obviously we don't want to get too high of a level when we're in a group together. Then on Thursday, our Guardian, I guess, was of course running with the Guardian, and I think we just reached Hernet. So we just reached Hernet, and so we're just, I think, we did the epic up to the point where you get. Actually, maybe. So I was just trying to think. Okay, Mike, because you got the two groups that are close together. I think I just almost conflated the two in there. That's right. We got in that case. We only got to the part of the epic where we arrive in Herna, first get going in there. We're about to head out for our first time after that and see what's going on in that area. My Mordor lore master was questing in Udun, and for the field trip, we finished up the epic story in Minas Tirith, which meant doing a couple of epic battles. You know how I am with epic battles. Don't exactly enjoy them. So maybe that was the low light of the week. We currently have 11 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the Nature's page where you can support the players to Lance on Patreon. Your money will be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And a special thanks to Or Gaming Network for their support. If you have any feedback you'd like to provide, you can send us an email at podcast@lotroplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record the LOTRO Players News and we record the DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can join us for our shows at lotroplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. Then this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.